Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today, the Sunset Single Player. In today's video, we're going over my video review for Spider-Man Miles Morales. And this gameplay is captured on a PlayStation 5. And this gameplay is actually captured in the newly established 60 FPS performance with ray tracing modes. That's a nice update Insomniac added after the fact, and a really great benchmark thing that I think a lot of developers will be striving to achieve come future PlayStation 5 games. So Insomniac did clarify that Miles Morales is a standalone game, which means it is shorter in length. However, I did platinum this game very recently, and my total runtime was probably about 25 to 27 hours to platinum this one. So definitely not a short game to 100% by any stretch of the imagination. Insomniac, who you'll likely remember as the developer behind the Resistance and Ratchet & Clank games, gifted us the first Spider-Man game back in September of 2018. I beat and platinumed that game. And before we get into the video and the review today, I do want to preface this discussion by saying I paid $70 for the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales on PlayStation 5. This includes the remastered version of the first game and all 3 DLC packs that make up the City That Never Sleeps saga. So let's get right into it.
That's all of them. Now to get the trains back on the tracks. Controls are probably in the office.
In this excellent PlayStation 5 launch title, we play as Miles Morales, who of course has become the new Spider-Man for the city of New York. Rio Morales, who is Miles' mother, is running for New York City Councilwoman, and she expresses her contempt for a New York energy corporation that you'll see that we're fighting here called Roxxcom. As the game progresses, we learn that there's a new New York City group called the Underground that's very against the actions of this energy corporation. Miles Morales stands as the city of New York's protector for certain violent events that unfold throughout this roughly 8 to 10 hour campaign. The game looks incredible, especially in 60 frames per second and an upscaled to 4K fidelity with ray tracing that was recently added. Here in this fight, you can see the reflections of the lights reflected onto the floor. While the story in the game is excellent, and visually it's amazing, Miles Morales should primarily be commended for its kinetic and quite frankly, incredible gameplay. This game is truly an amazing showcase for what the next generation of PlayStation games should all be about and what this console will be capable of moving forward. At 60 FPS in performance mode, you can fly around the city, swinging from the rooftops, smoothly propel yourself into a jump after web lunging onto a rooftop corner, do flips and turns in midair, and more innovative traversal techniques exclusive to Miles that you can't find in the first game through the conduit of Peter Parker. Miles plays a bit differently from Parker, so in addition to using certain gadgets like the gravity well that Pete did not have access to in the first game, Miles also has 2 new distinct combat abilities. The first one is his Venom electricity that you've been seeing in the fights so far today. His second ability is invisibility called camouflage that you'll see later on in the video. These new powers make for completely unique combat encounters that I realized I was longing for in my remastered 1 playthrough after I beat Miles Morales. And once you build up a nice combo, you can perform takedowns just like in the first game by hitting circle and triangle as you saw previously. For those of you that have seen Into the Spider-Verse, the excellent 2018 movie, it might not surprise you to see that Uncle Aaron, Miles' uncle, is in the game. He really helps flesh out Miles as a character and adds to the already excellent story in place. At this point now in the game, we're web swinging on over to solve a puzzle to realign train tracks. We have to use our Venom electricity power to conduct the electricity. Other puzzles in the game include generators that we as Miles must figure out how to power on and connect to conductors to open doors. These puzzles are well designed and never too challenging, and they were a nice change of pace from the Spectrograph and Octavius Labs circuit puzzles from the very first game, and this is coming from someone who actually enjoyed the puzzles in those games. Here in this shot, you'll see how detailed New York City looks and how amazing the ray tracing looks on the side of these buildings as we propel, spin, and flip our way through the city. Miles feels much more flexible than Peter and is able to pull off some crazy moves. And that move you just see I did there allowed me to conduct my electricity in midair to result in a Venom jump to give me an extra edge. You gain electricity by adding a suit mod that allows you to gain electricity while doing flips in midair. The game looks so smooth and is so fun to play, as you see me pull off another Venom jump there. The lighting in the game is phenomenal as we see the sun shine down on New York City. There's a great level of verticality to the web and electricity based combat that you'll see demonstrated here. I also want to note that this fight is being played in New Game Plus on Ultimate difficulty. And that will be the definite reason if you see me struggle a bit. This suit here is my favorite suit in the game. It's called the Programmable Matter suit, and in a little bit you'll see a nice takedown through this suit that is pretty rare, and I think it's only about a 1 in 20 chance, I would say. At least that's from my counting playing the game. It seemed like every 20 takedowns I would do in the suit I would get this special takedown, so just keep your eye out and you'll see it here. That move there was a Venom Smash, which you can also do along with Venom Punches that do a lot of damage. In order to build up your electricity, you have to build up the bar seen beneath the health bar. It's the yellow bar that you must fill up in order to pull off these crazy electric attacks. The combat in the game is so incredibly smooth that it makes you feel as if you're playing through a great movie, but really it's just an amazing PlayStation 5 launch title. The load times in the game are nearly non-existent thanks to the PlayStation 5's SSD. Even when playing in Ultimate difficulty, if I died it wasn't frustrating because I would always be right back in the game. In a New Game Plus, I was able to equip a skill that allows me to regenerate and gain my full health by discharging a powerful attack after I fail and my health drops to 0. This only will work one time per encounter, and you'll see it demonstrated fairly soon here. Another great and welcome addition to the fighting style in this game is being able to throw these purple underground grenades. The underground is a group rely on programmable weapons, so a lot of what they do is technologically based and creates some really interesting combat encounters. At this point here, you'll see I'm being sniped by an underground member. My health is getting dangerously low, and as soon as I get shot again, this is when you'll see the great skill that exists in New Game Plus that allows you to do a super voltage attack and come back to life. My main complaints in the game lie in the fact that there are a couple bugs that you'll encounter where Miles will get stuck to walls and ceilings and things like that. I also have one story complaint where a major character near the end of the game makes kind of a questionable decision and doesn't listen to very important advice from someone that I think maybe wasn't the best story decision, but besides these minor gripes, this game is really, really amazing. And here, after we pull off this Venom Smash by hitting L1 combined with X and square, we're on our way to wrapping up this underground base. And pretty soon here, you'll see the amazing Programmable Matter suit takedown I referenced earlier. And here it comes, where we actually turn into a spider. Amazing. Ultimately, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a welcome addition to the Insomniac line of Spider-Man titles, and joins the pantheon of other great Insomniac games. The gameplay is kinetic and fluid, the story was a triumphant demonstration of what Miles Morales is capable of as a new Spider-Man, and the game looks extremely visually appealing. Two other major side characters in the game are Finn Mason and Genki Lee. Genki, of course, is Miles' friend from Brooklyn Visions Academy, and Finn Mason is Miles' good friend from middle school, but they're now both in high school. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a welcome addition to the Insomniac line of Spider-Man titles. The gameplay is kinetic and fluid, the web swinging looks incredible every time, and the story was a triumphant demonstration of what Miles Morales is capable of as the new Spider-Man. I can't wait to see where this tale goes moving forward. This was a story that did not feel like DLC or a standalone game, especially with the extended time when going for the Platinum Trophy. This game truly felt like a PlayStation 5 AAA title that can stand proudly alongside the first game as an equal. Some people might even like it better than the first game. I think from a gameplay and visual perspective, it's definitely better than the first game, although from a story perspective, I think it's more up for debate. I actually thought the length of the story was perfect, especially when mixing in some of New York City's many side activities that are well worth your time simply because of how satisfying this gameplay loop is. A lot of the side activities, especially in the end game, help tie up some loose story threads that I think are ultimately well worth the time in doing. I feel like I got my money's worth by far, especially with the inclusion of the first game and all DLC through the Ultimate Edition. For people that are on the fence of paying $50 for only Miles Morales, the game is well worth the price. This is a PlayStation title that you won't want to miss entering the new console generation. I can't wait to see what Insomniac has up their sleeve for Miles and Peter next, especially now that we know that Miles is an incredibly likable, funny, and capable Spider-Man. If I had to give this game a score on a scale of 1 to 10 with no in between, it would receive a 9 out of 10. While I did thoroughly adore my time with this game, some bugs and a few questionable story choices bring the score down a bit for me. It's also important to remember that the game is also available on PS4 and PS4 Pro, in addition to being on PS5. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out my video review of Miles Morales on PS5 today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you were on the fence about the game, hopefully I convince you whether it would be something you would be interested in or not. If you liked the video, please remember to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, The Sunset Single Player, for much more PlayStation 5 content coming soon. My name's Michael, and for now the Sunset Single Player is run entirely by me. I also run a weekly video game podcast called The Sunset Single Player that I linked to the description of the episode today if you'd like to check it out. I go over the news for the week and also cover what I'm playing, mostly on PlayStation 5, but with a little bit of Nintendo and Xbox mixed in. Thanks so much for stopping by today, guys, and look forward to the next video coming soon to you.